Hey guys, it's Zensoka here, and I actually just finally reached my 30 days of playing the game. And with that, I figured I'd make a video on my progress, how I feel about the game, thoughts on what is quote unquote meta, as well as some tips on how to optimize your team so that you can learn from my mistakes, as well as who should focus on if you care more about like a best team or your favorite characters or over your favorite characters, as well as like where I think the game is headed and how I think or what I think the devs should do. And with that, hopefully, guys won't mind me just doing War of Underworld in the background here while I talk, because this video will mostly be me talking. Yeah. So, first of all, how do I feel about the game? So, I am most definitely an SAO fan. I actually read the light novel by Reki Kawahara, and of course, it was through the translators because I don't know Japanese except simple phrases from being a nerd and watching anime. But yeah, so I did play Memory Defrag when it first came out, but I got burned out really fast because literally every new event, the banners that came out with it, you basically needed them to place in the top in the rankings, And unless if you were well or like super lucky, you always fell short. And me personally, I'm a really competitive person. And although most games I play, I'm fairly free to play or I'm a guppy, um, I like to show that you don't need tons of money to be a top tier player. And so games like um, Rising Still is great. And moving on to Rising Still, again, it's to me it's really enjoyable. I feel like that it's super free to play friendly. As you guys can see from my past videos, I'm able to do some, if not the hardest content in the game with the limited units I've been able to pull and have. And I also like it very much for the fact that, for the most part, at least for now and from what I'm seeing, there is no quote unquote meta unit. But of course, there are characters that do their role a lot better than other characters, which we'll discuss later. And so, moving on to my current progress, as you know, my progress in the story mode, I've actually only completed normal, so I have plenty of free cubes left over from hard mode if I ever feel like I really need to grind out cubes for a character that I feel is a quote unquote must have. And when Knight of Abyss Adis came out, I actually grinded out normal mode and did like 3 pulls. And because I actually couldn't even get a single 4-star unit, I actually said F it and bought my very first limit break pack, where I didn't regret at all because it led to me summoning Edis. But anyways, so that's that. And how or why do I feel the game is really free to play friendly? Um, and again, if it wasn't obvious, I think it's very free to play friendly, for a couple reasons actually. But I'll highlight some of the main points that come to mind. First of all, the fact that every banner that comes out is like a half off for the first multiple, I think is amazing. Like, it gives you a shot at getting the new characters and weapons in itself, which would be, having the new characters is a huge addition to your team if you do get them. But at the same time, you aren't like severely punished if you don't get them. And with that said, of course, people can argue this in a couple of different ways, where some people think because they're half off the first multi-pulls, it shows how expensive it is to actually try to pull on the actual banner afterwards, or like because they're half off, I need to pull every single time, and so you can't save cubes. And although it's kind of true, because that's what I literally do, I always pull I always at least pull on the first multi summon, because it's half off. But at the same time, it's like, if you really want to save up for a unit, you should be saving up for a unit you really want or you really enjoy, something like that, But you know, it's always meh for me. It's up to your willpower and if you can stop yourself from really summoning or not. So yeah. Anyways, continuing from the last statement that every banner comes out, basically it's coupled with an event, and that event for the most part, after you've finished every stage and get all the achievements in the events, they basically give you enough cubes to not only do the first multi-pull on the character banner, but as well as the weapon banner. Or, if you don't feel like you need any of the characters, you can save up those cubes. And then moving on to my third point, I actually have a total of like 6 or something. The fact that they made that you don't need a quote-unquote dupe makes the game that much better, Like a lot of other gacha games, you need a dupe to upgrade that one character. But, in here, you get limit break crystals of the same element of the character. So, there's more variety of who you can upgrade. So I think that's like definitely a great quality of life thing. And then the fact that they also have universal almighty evolution crystals, and I've been playing for now 30 days, and so far in my 30 days you're able to get 250 evolution crystals, and so that's literally 2.5 limit breaks on any character of your choice. Not to mention there's character specific limit break crystals where they already gave us a whole 100 Alice crystals. So for the people that keep complaining and saying that the game's not free to play, and I think it's more that they're just raging that when they summon on the banner that they feel they really want, they just can't get it, which, I feel for them. I know the frustration, but at the same time, it's like, that's how gacha games are, right? It's all about gambling and it's all about chance. Sometimes you are lucky as hell and you pull a shit ton. Sometimes you're not as lucky. That's just how the game is. And anyways, moving on, the other reason is like the free 4-star characters. Like, they are great. They're actually really amazing. Stat-wise alone, because you have the opportunity to fully limit break them as you play the events. Granted, it is a grind, but, you need to work to get good stuff, right? They can't just literally give it to you for free. But the fact that their stats are on par or even slightly better than 4-star gacha units is amazing. And of course, with their abilities upgraded, you can even say they're better than 4-star gacha units. And last but not least, there is no meta. Like, there's in a lot of gacha games, there's always a power creep. As soon as a unit comes out, there will soon be another unit later down the line where they are just far superior in every single aspect, and new content makes it so that you're not able to use characters that you previously had. Where so far, from what I'm getting from the game, it's not like that at all. And units you get from the very beginning are completely usable in future events and future content. But, that's all up in the air for now, because that might happen in the future, who knows. And moving on to how I feel about quote-unquote meta units, or what should your team composition be. Again, meta units, I don't really feel like there are any. Of course, there are a lot of characters better than others, but in general, this is what I think an ideal team composition should look like. Because in general, every boss or level or event, whatever, they give you a guide in the bottom left hand corner about what's recommended. And for example, right here it says hint, non-fire and light elemental units or whatever. And so typically though, for the bosses, it'll be like recommended 2 to 3 breakers and then charge and use your incarnate when you can, which is, as you know, which is the bulk of the game. But what's fun about the game is that we can strategize, and there's the achievements to try to do it better, do it faster with what you're given. And yeah, so basically every single fight will always, for the most part, need a separate team to optimize your turns and hence getting all the achievements. And that doesn't even add to the fact that ordinal battle is a completely different monster where they're doing separate rules for every single one, which is definitely cool because it makes it so that just not one ordinal battle team can beat every single thing. Granted, speed is definitely a big factor in ordinal battle, and so far there is the meta for speed and fast units to do ordinal battle. But yeah, so as to what and how your team composition should be, I would say for sure that the most ideal team for almost every single situation will, like, you cannot go wrong, is if you have at least one breaker, one break buffer, 2 chargers, and 1 charge buffer, and 1 healer. But the 1 healer, because so far we have both Ronnie and Adis that are break buffers, and they both also fulfill the role of being a healer. So, there's some leeway there. And then, of course, you need one solid buffer or supporter. So someone that I use in that regard is Fierce Flash Asuna, which is this one right here. She's like literally the part of the original that you can have, because not only does she have a pretty solid charge, she also, her assault is minus physical defense debuff, and she has the AoE attack buff. So she fulfills like a support / charger role immensely well, on top of her being extremely fast. And yeah, so then last but not least is then you probably want a unit that'll be like it'll be a specific role for that fight. So if you need 3 breakers because you already have a breaker and a break buffer, you'll want to add another breaker. But if you don't need another breaker, then you can add on another charger. But if you think having 2 chargers and a charge buffer is enough, then you can just add in a unit to specifically that's strong against the boss, something like that. So then and again, if you guys haven't noticed, I've been using a lot of universal or general terms like a breaker, a buffer, and every once in a while I do add in a specific character type. Oh shoot, he didn't die. Okay. But so again, moving on, every 4-star character has a very specific role, and for the most part they work that role very well, some slightly better than others. For example, Knight of Abyss Adis, she's only slightly better than Ronnie because her heal also does damage, and so but the little caveat to that is that her heal's a little weaker. But yeah, so in general though, there are definitely units that make every content that much easier, and if you had them on your team, I would definitely have to say that there are a couple characters that come in mind. And I guess that's the definition of what a quote-unquote meta unit is, but you can do perfectly fine without them. And these characters, because they have very specific roles, they're for the role of like a break buffer will definitely be the Knight of Abyss Adis or Budding Justice Rani. Another character would be the Merciless Magic Swordsman Lifa or Smiling Lovingly Asuna. So if you guys have one of them, because they're the charge buffer. And then the last unit that can like really stands out to me that I think is like really ideal in every situation is Osmanthus Knight Alice or OK Alice. Yeah, so then moving on would be like I've been asked some questions about like, oh, what do I think is better? Should I scout for a weapon or should I scout for a character? Or, when do I know that I need a character more so than I need a weapon? But from what I see is people on Reddit and other forums talk about the Japanese version, where honestly I don't follow it. I don't hoard cubes to wait for banners as I only pull, or I typically pull on characters I really like or I feel like I really need. And so right now I just like really need another strong breaker with good speed. But some people are saying, oh well, it doesn't really matter because you kind of just need they're like you need whatchamacallit, like one character of every element with every role. But it's like, no shit, Sherlock. That's like the same for every single game that has the advantage archetypes. Eventually you want that. You want a specific element of every role to be able to do every single content. But for me, it's like, it's ideal, but it's not necessary. Absolutely not, though. Especially because I've kind of, in my opinion, proven that you don't really need every archetype to be able to do the event and get all the achievements. For example, the Wind Boss just now that came out for Valentine's Day. I didn't use any fire units, and I used OK Alice as my breaker, and I was perfectly able to break the boss, because even though the units are at a disadvantage, your breaks and your charges are not lessened. The only caveat is that if you are strong against them, you then do more damage to the enemies and you get more charge and more break, which is cool, you know but yeah, so me personally, when I need to decide whether or not I should scout for a character or a weapon, again, as I mentioned before, I always scout at least once on the weapon and the character banner for the first multi-pull, because it's half off. Like, why wouldn't you? So, and then afterwards, assuming I don't get any 4 stars, which has happened very, very often recently, which I'm still kind of sad about, but it is what it is. I look at the banner and I tell myself, do I really need the character for this specific role? And if I didn't, I would roll for more weapons, because as we all know, every weapon, every accessory, and every armor also has an element, and if the gear is on the character the same element, it gives them 20% more additional stats. And of course, I roll on weapons more than characters, because after all this time, I've scouted, what is it? I've gotten 3 dupes of OK Alice, but yet I have still never gotten her sword. And I've gotten like 3 dark swords and 3 water swords, and so I'm just like, wow, really? And I think I have 3 rapiers too, so it's like, wow. And then a note to add is that the only times I've summoned multiple times on the banner so far has been on the Knights of Abyss Adis's Darkness Raid Up banner, because I didn't start yet for her when she first came. And it's all about betas. Although I'm like hoping she isn't a quote unquote trap character, because if you guys didn't know, in her profile it actually says that she is a he. And I'm hoping it's just a wrong translation. Well, anyway, regardless of whether she is a he or she, Betis is still Betis, right? She gets me to what I need her, she does what she does. And so, besides that, I've only also multi-summoned on the recent Dark Banner, where it was the, what is it, Ordinal Scale Alice, as well as the Unibanner. Just because, as I mentioned earlier, I need another strong breaker. And looking at the Asuna, she's although like it kind of bothers me that it is another Asuna, she's a pretty solid breaker, and I really need another solid breaker. And it's not bad that she's a dark elemental, since she won't have any weaknesses to any other elements except for to light. But on top of that, if you guys didn't see my video when I first pulled, I actually got her Rapier, so it wouldn't hurt to get that Asuna, to be honest. And I might actually return to that banner again if I end up having the cubes for it. But looking at it, I probably don't, but who knows, we'll see what happens. But and then too, actually I was looking at the Valentine's Day banner, and this Ronnie is actually looking pretty sweet, because her charge is actually a continuous fire damage for 3 turns. I imagine it'll be like a couple thousand damage per turn only, but on the boss that stacks up, and it'll add up the damage. And then the only other banner I've did multiple pulls on, which is currently actually no, she's basically here, is when Smiling Lovingly and Staring Lovingly in Kirito and Asuna first came out. And that's because Smiling Lovingly Asuna is also a charge buffer. Where is she? She is right here. But yeah, so she is a charge buffer, which the only other charge buffer we currently have in the game is the Merciless Magic Swordsman Lifa, and she's just one of the original 4-star characters, wind type, that I pretty much don't think I'm ever gonna get at this rate, basically. But yeah, so moving on, I was actually asked before about optimization of characters, about who to focus on, who to limit break, why, and stuff like that. So if you're starting out fresh, or if you're just starting out, or you're pretty fresh and pretty new like me, because I've only been playing for a month, and I think the game's been out for about ever since November, so it's been close to like 4, maybe 5 months now. So if you've been a veteran and you've been just holding on to your limit break crystals because you're not quite sure who you should limit break, these are just my tips and suggestions. And also, this is assuming you want to only optimize your team for, as good as you can, and you don't care about focusing on your favorite characters, because if you're gonna upgrade your favorite characters, you wouldn't be probably watching this video right now. But yeah, so before I get into specific characters, I'll give you what I think are points about what characters you should break in general, like what universal terms in general, and why, in my opinion, is, if possible, you want to optimize by making each of these roles at least level 90, because at level 90 is the big return in damage versus limit breaking them more. I don't even think that sentence made sense, but hopefully it does. But basically, for specific characters, you always want to make them at least 90 to get the most bang for your buck, basically. Because at level 90, if we go to look at the skills and the upgrades, to upgrade your Incarnate, you can upgrade it to max level at level 90. So level 90 is a big breaking point where their damage increases immensely. And if you just leave them at 85, and they're a big damage dealer, you're not unlocking their full potential, obviously. Also, note that every character is the same when you limit break them, where your first limit break is you can upgrade their first skill, this one right here. Second limit break will be their incarnate. Their third limit break will be their second skill, and their fourth and final limit break, you can upgrade their third skill. And of course, with each limit break, you can upgrade the 5% increase in passive, and for gacha characters, they get a 200 HP regen per turn per level. And yeah, so my recommendations about who you should limit break first. So after getting characters to 90, now let's say you're pretty end game, everyone's like 90, 95, you're not sure who you should limit break first, but you have a couple almighty crystals. Or say you just like have all level 80s, but you've just been hoarding all your crystals. So in my opinion, the first character that should take priority to limit break to 100 would be like the Merciless Magic Swordsman Lifa, or Smiling Lovingly Asuna, because the extra 25% buff to the charge ends up jumping it immensely, where if you have 3 chargers and the charge buffer, you will full 100% incarnate in one turn if you chain it properly, compared to if you were to use 4 chainers, you'd get to like 90%, some number like that. But yeah, and of course, but if you do 2 chargers and a charge buffer, you can actually just that in itself can get you to like 85, I believe like 90%. I personally don't have them, so I don't know, but after doing like the shorthand math, that's like the numbers I crunched up. So the next characters you really want to focus on would be like an attacker or a breaker. So in my case, it was OK Alice. Another person would be like the all enveloping darkness Kirito, and characters of that nature, where these characters are typically high in attack stats, very heavy hitting characters, but they have mediocre speed. And these characters don't really need level 95, because typically the break is the second skill, and so the third level or the max level in break will just give them a 2.5% increase, which in some cases is a game changer, but for the most part you are perfectly fine without it. And the next set of characters you then want to level up is that all charge characters. So all charge characters typically have their first skill as a charge skill. So if you have solid chargers, and definitely this will be after all your characters are like really max limit broken and you really don't know what to do, you would want to at least make your chargers to be level 85. For example, I have the Yuki, Yu-Gi-Oh, and the Saren Leveling Kirito, where as you guys see, all of their charges are on the far left, or is their first skill. And in that regard, there's been like so many times where I was struggling, because while doing a boss run, somehow I'd get to like 99.74% incarnate after I finished my charge chain, and it's like, what the fuck, like seriously? And so I'd have to redo it, even though like I felt like everything was running perfectly, and then I had that like seriously, I didn't get full incarnate, so I had to waste another turn. But yeah, anyways, moving on to actual characters, there are only a couple that like really stand out to me, that really come to mind. And it's great because most of them aren't limited, unlimited banners, and they're the characters that you can pull on every single banner. But if you guys haven't realized yet, I have only one character that is max limit broken that is not a free unit, and that is OK Alice. So Osmanthus Knight Alice. Why? Because one, she's a character that you want to at least rush and again to make to level 90, but overall she's a super solid unit because after just upgrading her once, her assault gets upgraded, and she currently has the highest damage multiplier for AoE, and then on top of that, her incarnate ends up becoming AoE as well, or is AoE as well. And more damage, more better, less turns, And besides that, her attack values and her HP values are just insane. Look at that. Although it is probably because I have a maxed out of her yellow armor, but still, I don't even think it's included in this right now, is it? Let's test it out. Oh, it is. So she actually gets an additional 400 damage from this armor, and this doesn't tell you the earring actually does not include the damage, but whatever. Yeah. But yeah, she's definitely a character that's made so much of the content that I do so much easier, because the cherry on top with her again is that she has a high attack values, she has high HP values. We have the limited equipment for her right now that buffs her up even more, and on top of that, she's one of the few very strong characters with a AoE incarnate, and she's a super solid breaker. Granted, she also has this AoE magic defense buff, but I've yet to ever use it at all. The next character that really stands out to me that you should definitely upgrade would be Knight of Abyss Adis. But if you happen to not have Knight of Abyss Adis, Budding Justice Ronnie is just as good. And the big reason is because the first time you limit break them, their heal goes from a weak to a medium value. And so with how it was basically, if I recall correctly, the level 2 was healing from like 3,000 to like 4,000 per character, while upgrading it to max level with that extra jump made the heals go from 5,000 to like 5,700 per character. And so it was like literally more than 50% stronger with just one limit break. And then for Ronnie, not to mention that you want her at level 90, definitely a solid unit because her incarnate is actually a magic AoE to all enemies. And she's been great for clearing content, and especially Ordinal battle, being able to just one-shot the entire team, especially with this Ordinal battle right now. And then the other reason is that on top of that, Adis and Ronnie, they are both the fastest characters in the game. I believe Adis is currently the fastest character in the game. And so the next character that I plan on maxing out will definitely be my Adis, because I do have Adis, so Ronnie isn't as necessary for me, I feel, just because Adis's heal, although it's less, it's about on average 1,000 to 1,500 HP less, but with the boss usually just AoEs once, and Adis can for the most part fully heal everyone. And if the boss does 2 turns in a row, it'll be like a single target and then an AoE, or 2 single targets on the same character, and that will just like knock out anybody. So yeah. And then after that, with these 2 units, basically Adis and Ronnie, or Adis or Ronnie, and then having OK Alice, or if you have all enveloping Kirito, he's just as good damage wise, but he's more focused single target. After you have those two, basically you can break any boss. You just need to add another 50% break unit. For example, the Berkuli. He has, assuming that you've maxed him out or got him to at least 95, he has a break value of 50%. And if you chain it properly, you're able to break a boss with at least 185% without an elemental advantage. So that's great there. And then after making them level 90, my next course of action would to have a solid charger to be level 90. In this case, I ended up going with my Fierce Flash Asuna. And that's because she also fulfills the role, as I mentioned earlier, as a supporter. So she's a solid charger, non-elemental. So she has no weaknesses at all and only strengths against non-elemental. On top of that, her assault, it is a debuff by 20% for one turn. So, and then she has the charge for 20% for 2 turns or 20% for 3 turns at max level. And so if everything lines up properly, you can do an additional damage of at least 20%, maybe even 40% more damage to the boss if you incarnate with her, Alice, or Adis. And then after these characters, my move would definitely be to have, if I had a level 80 charger now, if I happen to pull Smiling Lovingly Asuna or the Magic Swordsman Lifa, I would immediately, hands down, if I had only 400 Almighty Crystals and I would decide who I'd limit break, I would make the Lifa or the Asuna, Smiling Leveling Asuna with the charge buff, like maxed out. Hands down. In one go. That's what I would do. And then afterwards, basically, you'd want to then max out your strongest units. In my case, would be Adis, Alice, and then Asuna. And any leftovers then would be for your to get at least 2 other solid chargers. So in my case, I'd probably, to at least level 85. So in my case, I'd probably do Yuki and then Yujiro. And yeah. So then I've actually been ranting on for a long time, but thanks for coming on through with me, guys. And I'll probably do another video later about what I think about the direction. Screw it. We're already here. We might as well just push through for like another couple minutes about how I think the game can improve, what can the devs do, and what I'd like to see. And so just talking about that, it's like, honestly, when I first started the game, I was so overwhelmed, and there was like 3 or 4 events going on at the same time as Ordinal Battle, and I literally only got to the point of the storyline to unlock Cathedral because I needed to do that ASAP too. And so, for the most part, it's awesome that the devs are getting new content every single week. Again, it's amazing, but also because they do that, it kind of makes people not be able to save on the banner that just came that they liked, or some people feel forced to buy packs and diamond cubes. But if you like the game, you want to support it. They're living, working people too. They need to eat just as much as we do. And yeah, but there's like one really big pet peeve I have about gacha games, period, that has a limited amount of characters. And not to bust out any games or anything, but for example, there's a certain dungeon gacha game, but literally every other banner was the main protagonist or the main protagonist's female love interest. If you know what game it is, cool for you. If not, it's alright. I don't want to bust them out for whatever reasons. But yeah. But as much as I think Asuna is a waifu material, the fact that there are already freaking 5 4-star Asunas is like, what the actual fuck, We have 3 Alices and 3 Kiritos. because they're basically the main characters of Alicization. But because the series they take characters from all the other series, or and so it's like with so many different possibilities that fans actually enjoy and love, you would think they would have made other 4-star characters instead of just slap on like 5 different asanas. Like, for example, I know some people that are like hardcore Lisbeth fans, and you know other characters really like Leafa, which is perfectly fine. Like, come out with another 4-star of her. Like, again, I was like actually really, really disappointed that the 4-star Leafa and the 4-star Berkuli ended up being free units, because the fact that they are a free unit means that they have far less stats compared to in the actual gacha unit, by just comparing. Oh shit, Yujo doesn't have an armor. No wonder he was taking so much damage. Anyways, just comparing stats, raw stats like this, although he does have a level 40 4-star weapon, for the most part they're pretty similar in stats, to a maxed out 3-star weapon. But yeah, 4900 attack with 8300 HP, 3000 defense compared to like 4800, almost 4900 attack here. Far less HP, but you guys get the point. Yeah, I'm just hoping that the game doesn't become an Asuna and Kirito and Alice simulator, because there are so many other characters that have potential. Others to mention are even Silica, and I know some people that actually think Klein's pretty cool. He's a whatever character for me just because I feel like he doesn't show up too often. But yeah, one thing I really enjoy is the Cathedral Assault, and the fact that almost every game has the reach the top of the tower trope to power up. Again, it's so common, but they take it on and make it so great in the game. Not only is it really, really challenging, the fact that they limit your runs per character to 5 stages total makes it so that you really have to strategize and you really have to think about team composition, or it can really bite you in the butt. Like, some people have been asking me like, oh, what teams do you use for like the lower floors, and how do I even beat the bosses and stuff like that. So look out for the future in the video. I'll probably, how many time do we have left on it? Until the 18th. So I'll probably make it within the next couple days. I'll actually be doing an entire run for my video, to make a video on the entire run through Very Hard Cathedral to help out. And yeah. And then, but I guess the biggest gripe I have about gacha games, period, is a pity rate system. Like, honestly, I don't understand why they don't start with a system like this from the get-go. I'm not a whale, nor do I spend absorbent amounts of money, but if I really enjoy the game, I'll spend what little extra 10 or 20 bucks I have here and there for a banner I particularly like, or a character I really hope for, But yeah, it'll just, in my opinion, it'll definitely open up to much more to a larger community, making a bigger fan base if they opened up with a pity rate or something like, more people would be willing to spend if they were guaranteed one of the new banner units after like 4 or 5 multi-pools, or there's like a step up. So for like a step up banner, which, if you think about it, 4 or 5 multi-pools, just going by the rates that they sell cubes at, which I reckon never buy these regular ones. Yeah, those are just horrible. But yeah, the rates that they have these though, like basically 4 multi-pools is 4 of the the enhancement packs. That's what, like 88 bucks. 88 bucks for a guarantee unit. Like, if you think about it, it's like, that's a lot. but at the same time, you know, it's kind of worth it, you know? I don't know. I know, but do you know? But yeah. Anyways, that about wraps up how I feel about the game and suggestions on things that I have. And if you guys were able to just stick with me up until this point, as always, thank you very much. Hope you like and subscribe. And, you know, if anything, let me know what you guys are looking forward to or what you hope that the developers will add, or any gripes or problems you have with the game. And as always, just because I forgot I had tickets from finishing the cathedral, I honestly should save up until I have 10 tickets, but it's alright. With this free summon, which I didn't even know they added, we will go ahead and summon here, and we will end the video with some summons. How great would this be if this was the magical, merciless magic swordsman Lifa? That would be mother effing amazing. But we're not gonna get the splash, are we? Nope, we didn't. Boo. What do we get here? Alright. 2-star. Single scout again. Oh. Alright. So we have 2 3-star or better units. I'm pretty sure it's like a 97% chance for a 3-star and like a 3% chance for a 4-star still. Oops. Ah, come on. Give me that splash. Give me that shine. No. Someone talk to me. Nope. Alright, we'll just skip that. Last one. Alright, let's go, guys. Okay. Nothing. It's okay. It can still happen. Talk to me. Someone talk to me. Nope. Boo. Yep. Oh, shit. I saw Kirito and I was like, oh shit, a 4-star. But never mind. This is the 3-star Kirito. Rip. Okay. Alright. So, the only weapon I really need or want, honestly, is Osmanthus Knight Alice's sword. So go ahead and just open up with a gold blade or purple. Nope, bronze. We'll just go right through these. No. Oh, it was the shine. So that's a blue, yep. Alright. Got a dagger. Gale dagger, perfect. I think I actually only needed one more. Alright. Come on. Another shine, so that's another 3-star. I actually don't need that. I think I can have 2 max limit broken ones now. Another shine? A big shine? Oh, wow, really? Alright. Last one, guys. I feel it. Being a bronze. A 2-star. Rip. Alright. Well, as always, thanks for watching, guys. Wish you the best of luck. And look forward to more videos that I'm gonna have. And good luck.